Good evening, everyone. And tonight I'm so excited. Tonight we are having a special BSL Blethers. And tonight what we're doing is we're going to focus on such an important topic. Now, maybe some of you remember 2 years ago in 2021, the BDA launched myself, Avro, the BDA, we'd given a talk about dementia. Now, since then, we've had lots of communication with MG. This is MG's sign. And 2 years ago, all the deaf were so enthralled watching MG and listening to her journey and her story. They kept asking, when are we getting her back? Well, today's your lucky day. Have been asking. And we've got her here. And now we're going to start our journey about the last 2 years. So it's a part 2 from MJ. And it's about how dementia can be beautiful. And we're looking at from home to long-term care. And that means like a nursing home or a care home as we have in Scotland. We're going to be talking about that tonight. That's going to be the main focus. And I'm so excited about that too. Now, some of you might be wondering why we picked this particular date. Well, there's 2 reasons for that. The first is that this Thursday is, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, World Alzheimer's Day. And that means that everyone around the world should be talking about Alzheimer and sharing information. And we thought, what a beautiful way to explore that by having MJ here tonight. But also it's the International Week of the Deaf. So that's good to focus on encouraging sign language, as the World Federation of Deaf have said. What our vision is, a world where deaf people everywhere can sign anywhere. And that's what we're looking for, quite honestly, when we look at dementia. We want people who have dementia to be able to sign to everyone and anywhere. Now, I know you'll be on tenterhooks waiting to actually talk to MJ, but before we do that, I want to show you a wee clip. Let's have a look. Wasn't that so good? And it was so emotional. It was just so lovely and privileged to watch that interaction between MJ and her mother. So now I am absolutely delighted to talk about MJ. I know some of you have watched all her videos over the years where she's kept us up to speed of the journey. And now, where's MJ? She's here. She's here.
Hi.
It's been so long, about 2 years.
Yes.
I have been following your information, and I knew we'd find an appropriate time that we could just grab you.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm so excited to be here.
Your video that we just saw, I could feel the tears welling up. It's such a journey. But for some of our audience at home, could you tell us maybe a wee bit about yourself and your background and what we're here tonight to talk about?
Sure. So I'm MJ. I live in the US. I'm here in the US in Maine, in America. Maine. Yeah, that's our sign for Maine. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I was born and brought up right here in Maine. I've stayed here all my life. I've moved to different homes, but the same location. I've been in this location all my life. I've never moved from Maine, so I'm a Maine girl born and bred. Yeah, I want to move now, but anyway, maybe that's something that'll happen in the future. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. My mother and father are both deaf, and I have a sister. There are just the two of us, me and my sister. We're both hearing. So are CODA. Yeah. I have a husband and I have 4 children.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a boy, girl, in that order. Yeah. And I'm an interpreter myself. I lost my father some time ago. He died, let me think, 2019 maybe. But my mom is still with us, although she has dementia. So yeah.
Can I check with you, MJ, how long has your mother had dementia for? How many years?
She began forgetting things noticeably, and I had this kind of sense that there was something wrong. And that was in about 2009, 2010, something like that. Yeah. And then since then, there's been this slow, gradual decline, over a really long period of time, I think. Yeah.
I remember 2 years ago when we were having a wee chat, and you were answering some questions for me, and I remember at that time, what age is your mum now? What age is she now?
Oh, now she would be she's about to be 81 in October. She'll be 81 in October next month.
Well, when I think back 2 years ago, your mum was in the care home, or she was in the home with you, and then you could see the change, and then there was a sort of transition for her, and you could see, and then you realise that dementia can be beautiful. But when you talk about, moving from your home, your residential home, to sort of a long-term care home or nursing home, that's the thing that I want to talk about, that timeline, that change, and how that felt for you. Also, we had COVID during that, so it would be lovely to find out how on earth did you make decisions? What were the motivations for that? All of it you can share with us.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, my mother was with me here in my home, and we were looking after her, and we did that for 3 years. So that was quite an extended period of time. And of course, then there was COVID. And of course, my mother-in-law was also here. My mother was here. Then my mother-in-law was moved to a care home just before COVID hit, just before the beginning of COVID, which was actually a bit of a relief, because having them both here in the home together through COVID would have absolutely blown my mind. I mean, it would have been impossible. I'd have had a breakdown or something. Yeah. My mother-in-law also has dementia. My mother has dementia. My mother-in-law is hearing. My mother is deaf. So yeah, she moved to the nursing home just before COVID, and then we all went into lockdown. My mother was here, so that was quite a relief. You know, I could look after her. I could be here with her every day. But it was also like, oh, so much hard work. It was exhausting. It was emotionally draining, this constant care. You know, I work as an interpreter, so I'm also trying to raise my children. My youngest girl obviously wasn't going to school; she was at home, so there were all these demands on my care. My mother, my daughter, I was torn in so many directions, and you know, I think yeah, we all got pretty low because it went on for so long. My husband was quite depressed. We were all pretty drained, but my mom was pretty happy. So it was really nice having conversations with her. But she would also kind of call out, you know, when she needed, I want food, I want attention, I want care. Um, and I'd be in the middle of interpreting. I'd be on screen, I'd be in some meeting, you know, or on the computer, and I could hear my mom downstairs on the first floor shouting and shouting. And yeah, it was, she would bang on things, you know, bang, walk up and down and bang, bang, bang on things. And she'd do that, you know, you go down and you'd calm her, give her a little something to eat, a little snack, and literally a minute later, I'd just get back up to the second floor, begin interpreting again, and I'd hear it start again. My mum screaming. I have to go back downstairs again, and she'd say, "I haven't had anything to eat," because she'd forgotten that she'd eaten. So it was a lot of work. It really was. And then obviously COVID went on for 1 year and then 2 years, and oh, wow. I just needed to get out, you know? Oh, I just
Yeah.
needed to get away, really, because it was too much here. Um, so we found a daycare home, yeah, where my mum could go during the day and then come back in the evening.
Mhm.
Um, so we did that. That was 3 days a week. And
3 days? Oh, that's good.
yeah, yeah. Um, but it was a hearing facility.
Mhm.
So there was no real communication, nobody there signed. Um, and it gave me a bit of a break. You know, I could get on with my work. I could pay attention to my girl, my daughter. But in my mind, I'd always be thinking that my mom is in this place where they're all hearing. So I was torn.
You'd mentioned there your daughter. Can you explain a wee bit more about how you felt being torn between your daughter and your mum?
Well, my daughter was really frustrated, obviously, because, you know, I'm having to care for my mum the whole time, and I'm giving her so much attention. And here is this young girl, and she'd ask for my attention, and I'd say, "Hold on, hold on, hold on. Dad'll help you. Dad'll sort that out." And I'd go and pay attention to my mum. So because I could sign with her, you know, I could communicate. Everybody else in the family is hearing, my daughter's hearing, my husband is hearing, everybody's hearing, and they don't particularly sign. I'm the only one, so I had to be the one signing with my mom. So my daughter, it was always this, you know, index finger, wait, 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 or I'd say, come, you know, come and talk to grandma with me, and we, you know, go for a walk, the three of us together, or something like that. But as time went by, my daughter became more and more frustrated. She was really kind of she was angry, you know, "Where's mom? Why isn't mom paying attention to me?" So, yeah, um, and my husband and I were obviously very stressed, so it was just too much for us, really. It was very
Yeah.
emotional, very draining.
It's like one thing on top of another. So, what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made you decide, no, I need to go to the care home now?
Well, we got to this point where it was just too much. I felt my mind was going. I really did. I felt like uh, it was me that had dementia, you know, and I would kind of question myself because I was thinking, is it me? You know, because I'm stressed and I'm feeling all of these things. And then, um, you know, when I'd been caring for my mother, you know, earlier had cared for my grandma. So she had been a carer, and I had seen that this had kind of tumbled onto, you know, from my grandmother to my mom, My mom got dementia, then she moved in with me, and I was thinking, have I got it now? Am I developing dementia? But it was really just stress, you know? Um, and actually over the 2 years that built up so much, and I couldn't, I couldn't work. I just needed to take a breather. I just needed to disconnect. I needed to, get my mom into a care home. And actually, we managed to get her into a care home that's just 1 mile away, a new facility,
Wow.
new build, absolutely beautiful new build. I heard that they'd established it. It was so close to my house. It's like, this is so good. So we went and just begged them to take mom. Please, can my mom move in with you? So here we have to call the state insurance, for money, because obviously everything here is covered by health insurance. I was literally begging in tears to these people, saying, "Please, will you validate this claim? Please, will you, give us the go ahead?" And they did, and we got funding, so we could pay for the care home. So as soon as it opened, my mom moved in, and it was so close by. And her room was beautiful. It was really lovely. And then through COVID, of course, they all had to wear a mask. We had to wear masks, but we could still go. So we were still allowed in. It was beautiful. And then obviously as COVID spread, we were no longer allowed to visit. And we had to just go and stand outside the window. We could sign through the window, so that was good.
Well,
That's a
that's
deaf
lovely.
advantage, right?
Yeah.
Deaf game. Hearing people can't do that. They were all on the phone. But my mom, I can't call her my mother-in-law in her care home. She was in a different care home. She's now moved into the same facility, but they used to be in different care homes. But obviously, when COVID spread in these facilities, we couldn't visit. And we go to the window for my mother-in-law, and it didn't work, and we'd have to phone. She couldn't understand, and she would put the phone or push the phone away. She couldn't understand that we were calling. Whereas my mom, we just stood outside the window and signed. It was fantastic. It was really good. Yeah, it worked.
That's an example of beautiful.
Yeah, but with her being deaf, I felt like she had no communication within the home, and that was a little heartbreaking. That was hard. When she lived in but she couldn't live in my home because of just the pressure on all of us in the family. So we paid for. I used to pay when she was in my home. We paid for a deaf befriender to come a couple of days a week. She would come over, and also a hearing person who could sign would sit and communicate with her. We would pay her to come over as well. When she was in the day care facility, she had some of those visits too, but I don't know. It felt a little bit. I had this instinct that she wasn't really getting enough communication. It was a bit disconnected.
It must have been such a tough decision.
Oh yeah, it was, yeah.
Right, okay. See, once you'd made the decision to move your mum there, did you get any reaction from the deaf community?
The deaf community are so supportive in general. I mean, it's a really great community here. And they felt bad for me and for my mom, and a deaf person on her own in this hearing facility. And a few of them said, "You're awful. You're awful. How could you do that? How could you should be looking after her. She's your mom. You should be looking after her." And I felt like, have you been through this? If you've been through this, you wouldn't be saying that. You just don't understand. Yeah? Wait and see. When you've been through this yourself, you'll get it. But generally, everybody around in the deaf world was so supportive and so caring.
Pleased to hear that. That's really important to me. Okay, MJ. So we've got to the stage where your mum's in the care home, but you're obviously concerned that she's the only deaf person there. However, do they have support there in this new care home? Is there maybe activities internally or things to stop her loneliness?
Uh, I mean, they did, but nothing specifically for deaf people, you know. Um, the deaf befriender you still visited my mom every week, you know.
Yeah.
But there was no interpreter on site, or you know, I could do a community VP call, like a video relay call. Yeah, yeah. So my mum didn't understand it. She didn't get it. That she could see the screen, but she would just look, and she was very confused by the technology. You know, she thought it was like a doll or something, or you know, a film. Yeah, exactly. Not a real person.
Yeah, I can get that someone looking at this 2D thing and thinking that it is a film. So the care home wasn't really great and things like that.
Well, no, no. I mean, no, there was no kind of no facilities really. The people were great, but there was no kind of program of activity really, no kind of exercise, or they just kind of sat. My mom just sort of sat. And my mom had been so active before. She liked to walk, it would give her time to think, it would give her strength. And that all just declined. And she was no longer walking. She put on lots of weight. When she moved to the care home, in the first 3 months, she put on 40 pounds. 50, sorry, 50 pounds. Yeah.
50 kilograms?
Pounds.
Oh, pounds,
Pounds, yeah,
sorry,
50
MJ,
pounds
pounds.
in weight. Yeah. So she really put on weight quite substantially, because she was sitting and she was just eating the food that they were giving her was not healthy food. It wasn't healthy. So for me, I just wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy. It didn't feel right. I didn't feel satisfied. You know, my mother had dementia. She has vascular dementia. It's vascular dementia.
Yeah, okay, vascular. Got it.
And so the food that they were giving her should have been healthy, to maintain her blood flow and her circulation for her vascular dementia, and it just wasn't. So I didn't feel satisfied with that. I thought the food was awful. It was very sugary, giving loads of sugary stuff, loads of sugary drinks, like sodas, fizzy pops, with sugar in. Just too much. There was too much of it.
Yeah, I've heard that all of that kind of food does affect vascular dementia.
Yeah, exactly, because it constricts the blood arteries and the circulation. Makes it worse.
Well, MJ, you will not be surprised to know that we've got questions waiting for us. So I'll take a few questions and then I'll go back to you. So the first question from Sue Herring. Hi, MJ. Has your mum gone back to signing an ASL?
Well, my mother grew up, she was taught to speak oral, so she didn't sign. She grew up orally. And then she went to Gallaudet. And it was only when she arrived at Gallaudet that she began to learn to sign, and she started to be a signer. So now my mom is kind of reverting back to those oral first days. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. That seems to be common, that people are going back to whatever they were taught originally.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we'll move on to our second question. And our second question is from Angela McCluskey. And she's interested to know, what sign support did you have in the care home or at the day centre? Because in the UK, there's a severe lack of support for deaf people.
Yeah, here in America, I think we're in the same situation as you are in the UK. There are very few interpreters, and certainly none in the care home. There aren't many around in the community, so there's certainly not going to be any in the care home. So my mother's never had an interpreter at all in the care home, not once. No, nothing, zero.
Wow. That's so sad and so worrying as well, because I just think that's maybe being duplicated all over the UK. And we need befrienders, we need that kind of support.
Yeah,
You've
we
seen the
do.
value of it. And it's something that's just really needs to be done on a regular way. You had both a deaf and a hearing person who could sign, though.
Yeah, that's right. We had these two. So one was a deaf lady and one was a hearing person who could sign. And they would go every week. So we had that, and actually they're still going. I think today, it's the hearing lady's turn, and she'll text me and say, you know, I'm just going to visit your mum. But at the moment, I had to say no, because at the moment there's a COVID outbreak where my mum is. So
Is your mum okay,
the
though?
hearing visitor can't go. She's improving. It's a week here now for COVID, and she's getting a little better. She's still got those cold flu-like symptoms, but she's been improving across the week.
Does your mum
She,
understand that she's got COVID?
no, no, she doesn't understand it. She's just going from day to day. And my heart breaks really, because my mom's in bed and she's in the room and she's just there in isolation. It's
Yeah.
just awful. I mean, you know, that's just in the back of my head all the time. You know, where's my mom? What's she thinking about? What's she doing? Is she feeling alone? Is she feeling okay? I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's heartbreaking. That's distressing. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
hard.
to witness that is heartbreaking. But probably, MJ, she's probably just in her own wee world and happy. Anyway, we've got another question coming in, and it's a question from Caroline. And Caroline's question: did you in the end deliver dementia awareness training to the staff within the care home? Did you ever get that opportunity?
No, before, in about 2017, um, my mum was in a care home at that time, a different facility, and I did deliver training there, deaf awareness and sign language. It wasn't me. I brought in a deaf woman to deliver that training, and that went really well. There was no COVID at that time, so that's pre-COVID, 2017. But now, well, that was 2021 when my mum moved to this new care home, and then we were immediately into COVID. So, you know, everybody in that workplace was really stressed. I felt like I couldn't go and say, "Hey, we're going to bring you some deaf awareness training." So that felt really difficult at the time, and so we didn't deliver that. Um, there's been some new staff there recently, so I've been talking to them, meeting them on a one-to-one basis, just having these little chats with them, saying, my mother has one eye that she doesn't see through very well. So if you put the cup at the wrong side of her tray when she's eating, she won't be able to see it. So just raising awareness about these small things, but I'm doing it really on a one-to-one basis with the staff, and it's not enough. We need more. My mom's blind in one eye. She's deaf. She communicates in sign language. And they were thinking that my mom's understanding them, but my mom is not understanding them. The nurse would come and she'd speak into my mom's ear, and shouting into my mom's ear, and I'd be like, but my mom is deaf, like really deaf. She hears nothing at all. So it doesn't matter if you shout in her ear, nothing will happen. You need to use sign language with her, gesture, drink, or hold up the cup and point to it, make the motion, demonstrate. Just kind of giving tips, get her to copy you. My mom's not kind of, super fast signer or anything. But speaking into her ear is not gonna work, really not. It's just hearing people just think that, they can sign, the gesturing doesn't make any sense at all. I don't think they understand sign language, they need to.
Yeah, sometimes the staff is we've found in this country is that you do some training and there's quite a sharp turnover of staff. So then you get new staff getting in. And what we've said is you need to employ deaf people, have more deaf staff, and then you have it everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, bring deaf people in or hearing people who can sign, Here in
Totally agree.
America, one of our problems is that uh, uh, there are kind of homes that are not dementia homes, that there are different kind of facilities for deaf people, but they're so hard to find. Where are the facilities with deaf staff? It's so difficult to find. Where are the staff? So if you have one of these facilities, they can't find people to work in there. So all of the staff are hearing. Where are the deaf people who can do this work? Where are they? We need
Yeah.
them to step up, come forward, because we need more. What I'd like to see is deaf people working. I'd love to have a deaf care worker for my mom. Why not? That'd be so good. Why have all of these hearing people who talk to her? Just one deaf care staff? I'd pay, for them to be with my mom. That feels like it just should happen.
Couldn't agree more. You'll not be surprised. We've got lots more questions coming in. So I'm going to check my questions first. Okay, MJ. So if we think about a care home as being the residential home and the home of your mother, what do you think? Do you think that the standard of care was good? So I know that there was not the care there on a social level, maybe even an emotional, but on the clinical side, was the care good?
Well, I kind of like to split that into two different things, really. There's the dementia and the assistance with dementia and the support for dementia. Yeah, the care and assistance and support for dementia. And then there's this kind of long-term care home, nursing facility, right, with nurses in and these are separate. So in the dementia care facility, I no, I didn't like it. I didn't like
Really?
it.
Why?
Ah, the nurses were like, I mean, there was one nurse for, so many people, maybe two, three, four, so many people.
Too many?
So yeah, the nursing to resident ratio was bad, and it was kind of quiet. It felt like people were just waiting to die. They're just sitting there. And I don't know. I don't want to blame the home. I think it's something wrong with the system, with the government, with how that is funded. Um, I think that they need more funding. They definitely need more funding because at the moment people are just sitting there. There's no energy in the place. I would go in and I'd look around and I'd try and chat to all the people and sign with them and, just get something going, get people smiling, get people talking, just talk to each other, talk, and it was lovely. People need to talk. It's just a human need. We need to connect. And if you haven't got that connection, then what? You're just gonna die. I mean, yeah, it's like a kind of death. Uh, we have to connect. I have to connect. You have to connect. We all have to feel that sense of connection. If you're on your own 24/7, of course you're gonna
Yeah.
decline, Yeah.
So you
But I like
definitely,
the
yeah,
yeah,
you
I like the
definitely
long
felt the other one.
yeah, I like the long-term care home. There are nurses there, there are more nurses, there are more care workers around the place. Um, and there is just more energy there, It's a different vibe. The
Nice.
other place just felt like, and my mother, my mother-in-law is still in the memory care home. But my mother in the long-term care facility, I think, is doing better. My mum seems more kind of alive, you know? I mean, I know that her mind is going and her body is deteriorating. Obviously, she's in a wheelchair now, um, but she does nonetheless still seem to have something more about her, you know? When the deaf befriender goes, she says to me, "Oh, your mom seems to be, you know, a little bit, there's an uplift there, you know? Because there are more people around, I think. You know, there's more energy, there's more opportunity to connect. And I think that's what gives you that sort of buzz. I mean, of course, she's connecting with hearing people, but at least it's more people. There are people around smiling, they're being happy, they're moving around, they're talking. Um, and that feels like a great relief to me. It's much better.
MJ, thank you for just explaining the two different memory home and the long-term care home. That was good for us. We've got more questions coming in. Erin McCluskey is our person with the next question. And she's saying, hi, wondering what did you do from the transition from the care home to the long-term care facility? What did you do to make it as smooth as possible?
Well, in the summer, just this past summer, I think it was July. Was it July?
Yeah,
Was it June,
July?
July? Yeah. No, not July. Yeah. It was July. Sorry. Yeah, it was July. I flew to give us a speech, a presentation, and the night before, my mum moved. So we had to pack all her things, you know, pack up all her room, move everything over. Me and my sister, you know, we packed it all up. The staff didn't help us at all. We got no assistance. It was just the two of us bundling everything into the car and trying to get everything packed into the room, setting up her room in the new place. And then the next day I had to fly. So that was like, oh, that was hard. But money is a problem, you know, the insurance, because in the memory care facility, the insurance was fine. Everything was paid for. It was all very smooth. And I thought that the insurance would also pay for long-term care. That's what I thought. I thought it would be a really smooth transition from one to the other, but no, you have to reapply again and go through this whole kind of application process again. Yeah, I'm still going through it now. I mean, you know, she'd moved, and we hadn't got the funding, so we had to go back through all of the paperwork, and you know, I just didn't know that I had to do that. Nobody told me. I just thought the insurance was going to pay, and the home said, no. Who's paying? So, I mean, that should have been worked out by those people. It shouldn't have been me. It should have been the people in the dementia care home. So that was a real kind of clerical error on their part.
I mean, in America, you're different from us, where you have the insurance-led medical. Is for us, it's you get it free. So that's hard for us to comprehend. We've got another question coming in, and that question is from Linda Richards. And Linda's question is quite a long question. So here it is. Hi MJ, good to see you. The food issue is of no surprise. A care home my dad was in gave chips 6 nights out of 7. They gave biscuits for afternoon tea and for supper because the poo is soft. That's not good enough. I used to pick my dad up every day and take him out or home to feed him, as I was feeding him better than he was eating, and then he said he was eating healthy food means healthy responses. It's gutting that this is a universal problem. I moved him to another home where the food was better.
It sucks, right? It sucks. You know, the care home, I was kind of, the care home was really near my home, but the food there was so bad that I had to move my mom much further away. sorry, the interpreter's made an error, that there's a care home further away where the food is good, but it's too far away. I didn't want to move my mom that far away. I wanted her to be near us. So it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You have to kind of balance the pros and the cons. But yeah, the food is really bad. What can you do? And yeah, it's not healthy.
And maybe that's something we need to raise universally with care homes.
And the government, is that your sign for government? Yeah, the government should really kind of make some declaration that care homes should be mandated to serve healthy food, you know? Just chips and biscuits, this is not good.
Or junk food, you process food
Yeah,
all the time.
right. You know, there should be a mandate about this. They should have to serve healthy food. Or, you know, sometimes give a treat. My mom likes ice cream, you know, a little of that every now and again would be fine, but in a balanced way, not all the time.
Does your mother have a favourite food, MJ?
Oh, ice cream. She loves ice cream. Oh, yeah.
Well, ice cream soothes the soul.
Oh, her favorite flavor is coffee. She loves coffee ice cream.
Coffee?
Oh, her favorite. Yeah. But now, I don't know. Sometimes I buy her a little present, you know, so she gets a little taste of something exciting, you know, and you can see her eyes just sparkle. She loves it. Yeah, really.
And how is your mother eating at the moment? Or is it difficult for her to eat?
Yeah, she eats very, very slowly just now. She takes a
Use a
tiny
knife and
bite.
a fork?
No, she's not eating a whole meal with a knife and a fork. She's picking something up and just eating very slowly like this. And then she'll chew. I mean, you know, an hour for 2 hours just eating a little snack. Other people will have kind of finished their meal, or the nurses will be feeding them, or they'll be feeding themselves. And they'll have finished their meals, and my mom will still be there, you know, kind of picking up a little bit. And of course, I mentioned before that she's blind in one eye, so you have to turn the plate so that she knows that there's still more food available on the plate, so she can see it. Anything that's on that blind side, she just won't notice is there. So, yeah.
Wow. Does your mother have her own room within the care home? She doesn't have to share any facilities?
No, she has her own.
Can you think of, like, if someone was having a parent or whoever get into a room, is there any tips of how you should decorate the room?
Just whatever they love, anything that they love, put that around their room. Photos of family, make sure they're really visible. Yeah, we have a photo of me and my sister in the room. Yeah, her
Yeah, I
daughters.
saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And my mother always looks at it. She looks at the photo of my sister and I, and she's like, "Oh, my babies, my girls, my two girls, my babies." Oh, that is just so moving. You know, it's so cute. So have lots of photographs around things that they love. My mom loves animals, you know, soft,
Yeah.
furry animals. So we have lots of those around her room, all kinds. Um, and what else do we have? Oh, she likes dolls. She loves dolls. She likes to cradle dolls.
Just
So
one
my
doll?
friend bought a doll. She has one special one, yeah, as a girl, little girl,
Ah.
with brown hair, very cute face, a little bit like her daughters, and she likes to cradle that, and she's really connected to that. She's very protective of it.
Could we just have a quick look of the video or a photo of your
Sure.
mum with the doll? We can share with the
Okay.
audience. OMG, it's so touching.
I know, but that's my mom. You can still see the love in her heart. She's there, she's holding the doll. It's beautiful.
It was tangible, it was palpable. You could see her. She was just at peace, with the doll there. It was lovely.
Yeah. And a lot of the other people kind of look at her and go like, "Oh, she's got a doll, how weird is that?" But no. It's something that calms her, that comforts her, that she loves, that she can connect to. She likes to hold it. Yeah. Why not? What's negative about that? It's gorgeous. Give her what makes her happy.
I'm just thinking about, a care home, if they have any sort of activities or bring, animals, sort of pet therapy.
We can now. Yeah, sure. Yeah. This facility, yeah, absolutely. You can bring animals in. So dogs are encouraged. I see people bringing in their dogs, their pets, and there are activities provided. So yeah.
Great, that's good to
Now
know.
it's getting better. Yeah, much better.
Because the pet therapy, I mean, we've known for a long time, it just gives that connection, back into
Right.
the living world. Okay, so we've getting loads of questions, but I'm looking at my questions because I want to make sure that I've covered everything tonight. So we've spoke about support, we spoke, but we've not spoke about your journey, MJ. Who supported you through this?
I got so much support from the deaf world. I got so many messages of support. I got so many people looking out for me, taking care of me. Too many to mention, really. And here in my home, my husband has been so supportive. Um, he's been great, and the children, that they've gone their own ways now, but friends as well, have been very supportive. Um, that they come to me, but they can't sign with my mom. Um, so they come and they would come and visit me when my mum was with us before. But then they couldn't communicate with my mom, so that was a difficult situation. But yeah, the friends have been supportive. I get calls, I get messages, and so on. But um, yeah, I feel like it was a lonely journey. The world felt really small when I was caring for my mom. There was this whole big wide world out there. I wanted to get out there and see it, but it just shrank, absolutely
Yeah.
shrank. It was this tiny little space that I was existing in. So it was really hard. Now I think differently now. I'm going out and about much more. I'm getting out doing my motivational speaking. I'm meeting the deaf community. And that feels so invigorating. It feels so alive, like my world is expanding and spreading out again. Because I didn't, I lost all my energy before. I lost my buzz, and I'm working out now. I do a lot of working out.
Well, self care, as you know, MJ, is really important. So, what's your self care now?
I like roller skating. I'm a roller girl. I love roller
Wow,
skating.
wow.
Yeah. But I'm not doing it so much at the moment. But I feel like I'm taking flight. I feel like I'm spreading my wings, and then I'm fly when I'm roller skating. Roller skating. I also do CrossFit. Yeah, in the gym. So I wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. in the morning. Yep,
Oh
I go to the
no.
gym at 5. Before I did so little. I did less and less and less and less, and I could really feel it in my body. I was starting to kind of get really heavy and so now I go there 3 days, 4 days every week, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's great. It's so invigorating. Um, and I like cold water, getting in cold water now, doing the cold water dip.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean it's like, oh, it's full on, but it really makes your brain pump and it really makes you feel alive just to immerse yourself for just a minute
oh,
or so in that
I need
really cold
that.
water. That's a new thing for me, that cold water therapy. um but yeah, keeping in touch with friends, meeting people are so important. You need to talk to people, communicate with people. Traveling, I meet so many people, new faces, and that's just brilliant. That gives me so much,
Yeah, it's like getting a recharge, a kind of voltage in you.
Totally is, because I did feel so alone, and I was just, depending on me the whole time, and it was just too much. Like my spirit, my spirit needs to get out. I need to meet people and talk.
Well, thank you so much for talking about self-care, because it's important for our audience at home to take that on board.
And
Counselling.
counseling.
Right.
Yeah, counseling. I've had counseling the whole way through. I think it's been a must. I couldn't have got through without it. I really couldn't. It was a must.
I suppose these are all like tools, and counselling's one of
Tools,
them.
exactly.
It's like, so just imagine all of these things as part of your toolkit.
All in the kit bag, that's right. And before there were just one or two tiny little things that I had in the kit bag, and now I have this much bigger kit bag fully stocked.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to check from our viewers at home to see what questions we've got in. Bear with me. There is so many questions. We're struggling to try and decide which one to pick. Okay, we have Caroline, and her question is, I wondered if your mother's friends stay in touch or visit her, as my late mother had dementia and her friends never visited her or stayed with her because they did not know what to do with someone who was living with dementia. Is it the same?
I understand, my mum didn't grow up in Maine. My mum grew up in Rhode Island, which is about 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where she grew up, and was part of the deaf community there, and that's where her deaf friends were. My mother only moved to Maine, when she moved here to visit with me. She moved away from her friends, so she didn't get many visits from her friends. There would be occasional visits, but less. But my mom's best friend in Rhode Island, my mom often mentions her name, often, goes back to the time that they grew up together. There were three of them that grew up together, three good friends. They went through school together.
From the
They
age of
started school
3?
at the age of 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Started school at 3, and then, grew up all through school together. So my mom often calls out and asks for her friend. Yeah. But no, not many of them visiting. They don't drive. My mother's friend doesn't drive. The best friend. There are a couple who do drive, and so that's when they occasionally bring others over to visit. So they've been once or twice, I'd say.
I'd watched the video about your mother when she mentioned her husband and she mentioned her mother, and you could see the sparkle, the life in her eyes, and the surprise, it's always a boy, they're beautiful, and all of these things. And, how was it that she started talking about that? What happened?
Yeah, my husband, before, my mother always used to say, "Oh, it's your husband. Oh, this is your husband." And then my father, her husband, they were married for 30 years. And then they went their separate ways. And now my mother keeps repeating this word, husband, husband. Fishing. Is he fishing? I say, yeah. My dad used to love fishing. Always loved fishing. Yeah. And so it's interesting that my mother's going back to that time now. My husband's fishing, and money is the other thing. Husband, fishing, money. And my grandmother, her mother, she says, mother's coming. So she mentions her. But we lost my grandmother, 2014. So she's gone. But my mom still mentions her. Mother's coming. So I don't know what that
It's
is.
just so interesting. It really is interesting. Don't worry, we're nearly finished with the
Oh,
Spanish
oh,
Inquisition.
don't worry, bring it on, bring it on.
So let's go back to 2 years ago, and I can remember that you'd coined the phrase, as far as I'm concerned, dementia can be beautiful. Do you feel still that dementia can be beautiful now?
A little. My mom always used to be surprised by everything. Everything was new and fresh all the time, but now that's less and less the case. Um, when I look in her eyes and I'm talking to her and I'm engaging with her, yeah, those moments are beautiful. But she is closing down more and more now. She spends time being quiet, and we call it the long goodbye.
The long
Yeah, the
goodbye?
long goodbye. And before, when people said, "Oh, dementia," you know, that we call that the long goodbye, and I would say, "No, no, 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 no. It's the fresh, fresh beginning every day. Every day is a new start." But now it's starting to become a long goodbye. Yeah, I feel she's fading away from us. Um, so dementia can be beautiful, yes, in its moments, but it can also be really distressing, the long goodbye.
Suppose when we think about the long goodbye, it's the, if you think about it, in some ways it's a gift. Dementia, and in some ways, I know that people maybe have not been through it would understand, but sometimes you get an insight to new information. You know, when my father had dementia, I felt I was being given a gift that I could share with other people. There was something special. I look back and there's so many precious moments, so many funny
Oh,
moments.
yes, yes, yes. And for me, the journey of life, it makes you reevaluate. You spend all your time being busy and working and focusing on the children and all of these things. And then there's my mom with dementia, and she has spent all her life working. And, the pressure of all of that. And somehow dementia just releases you from that pressure. And now she's just flowing from moment to moment, from day to day. And that makes me reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. How am I dealing with my day to day? Why aren't I moving through my life like a butterfly? You know, who am I? How am I being? That's a kind of gift from her, really, that influence. My mom's very happy. She wasn't always happy before, you know, in the hearing world, as a deaf person, communication was a barrier. She'd be stressed, but with dementia, she doesn't have any of that. She doesn't have any of that stress. She's just floating through life like a butterfly. And I think I look at myself working hard, all of this pressure I put myself under, and thinking, am I going to get dementia in the future? Why wait till then to live like a butterfly? Why don't I do that now? Why don't I kind of show the world that we don't need to live these really stressy lives? We can chill. We can just, go with the flow. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a gift. Yeah. I'd say that was
Me
a gift.
too.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And that's something that dementia does give to the world. Yeah, it is a
Like,
gift. It teaches you how to live, and it does, like you say, kind of make you re-energize you, make you think about the world and life and, about connecting with people and enjoying people and not falling out with people and getting into all of the, harmony and belonging and my mom loves people. She loves seeing people smiling, she loves seeing happiness. And so I think I want to take that on board, and I want to model that. Yeah.
that was just so beautiful, MJ. You know, you've made the connection. You know, dementia can be beautiful and the gift is there, but there comes a point in the transition and just over time where the long goodbye will start. So that was really insightful. We've got one comment that someone wants to make. It's Sean Richards. And Sean's saying, nice to see you both live. You both have been truly inspiring for those who are battling with families' dementia issues. Thank you both for all your wonderful work.
Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Sean.
thank you, Sean. Thank you. Oh, I'm quite teary and a bit emotional now. Time's moving on. So, MJ, I suppose the question is, when you're thinking about, someone in their home and then moving to a dedicated care home, what were the things that you would like to see going forward, the improvements? If you had the magic wand and you could control the world, what would be your improvements?
Well, I'd bring in deaf staff. We need more deaf staff. We get hearing people to sign. Let's teach them to sign. Why talk with everybody? And I think we need more activities. We need more stimulation, more fun,
Yep.
and more kind of group activity, more mixing. It doesn't matter whether you're deaf or hearing, activities that involve sign, maybe teaching sign language is an activity. Maybe activities where everyone turns their voice off, and that could be fun. Everyone just gestures. And I'd like to see more, where hearing families are caring for deaf people with dementia. I'd like to see more opportunities to bring those deaf people together in some kind of care structure, because these deaf people are isolated within their hearing families, and the hearing families are trying to care for them. There's very little sign perhaps in those situations. So something that could bring those people together, maybe in just groups of 3 or 4, so perhaps you wouldn't have to be a kind of native signer, but just somewhere that's close to the family home, where these people could gather, be brought together. That's what I'd like to see. And I'd like to see more awareness from hearing people, more understanding of deaf people and their need to sign and connect.
You'd mentioned that it would be good that if you could have care homes. Do you think separate or mixed? What do you think?
I think mixed care homes. I mean, it's nice to have, places where there are, a number of deaf people, but, if you had a tiny home that had 3 or 4 deaf people in it, yeah, great. But if you, in the bigger facilities, you could have a mixture of people, because there's more life. I'm not really into strictly separating deaf and hearing people. I think if you can get along together, then get along together, and you might form your own little social groups within that. But sometimes it's nice
It's about
to
choice,
just
really,
see different people around you.
because hearing people in that respect would learn from deaf people as well. Because we did some research and we produced a report, and there was lots of hearing people who were encouraging a mix. Would you believe it? We have gone past our hour.
Wow, that went by so quickly.
Honestly, and so this is last. It's over to you, MJ. Is there any tips or advice, a final word you'd like to share with our audience?
Think about now. Live for now. Don't worry about the arguments and the niggles. Life is for living. You're gonna one day be sick, you might have dementia, so grab the moment, feel it. Just feel it. Feel for now. And remember, dementia can be beautiful, but life is beautiful. Seize it. Seize it. Just don't worry about the small things. Don't sweat the small stuff, the gripes and the anxieties just work together in harmony. We are all here in this really beautiful world. Let's make it so. Let's improve it. Let's make it better. Let's do it now, not later. Now. Let's do it now.
That's such good advice, MJ. I really hope that your mother's journey is still as beautiful as it has. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so much.
for your time. It's been amazing to grab you. Thank you for sharing all your experience, and I hope
you.
our audience at home have enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Sending love and cuddles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.